What's going on, everybody? Liam O'Reilly, Vermont economic realtor with Jerry Riley Real Estate. Hope you're doing well. Talking today about the weekly market update out of Redfin. I think the title is a little misleading and some of the data points are really interesting. So let's get right into it. I'm hoping that you'll have a better understanding of what's going on in the national housing market as well as your local market, whether that's here in Vermont or somewhere else at the end of this video. So let's dive into the article here. Housing market update. It's hot and it's cold. Limited listings lead to few but fast home sales. So, then they talk about right here at the top, fewer homes are selling than usual this spring, but ones that are changing hands are going fast. Accidentally clicked on another link here. Let me just back it up. Basically what they're talking about is, I think with the title and right at the top here, they talk about how buyers are slowing down, how there's less buyers than last year, which is true. But I think if we jump down to this section right here, leading indicators of home buying activity, I think this point is very key. The seasonally adjusted home buyer demand index, a measure of requests for home tours and other home buying services from Redfin agents, was slightly up from a month earlier during the week of May 7 and down just 2% from a year earlier, the smallest annual drop in a year. Demand is barely declining from year ago levels because buyers were backing off at this time last year as mortgage rates rose above 5% for the first time since 2009. So mortgage rates, I think coming into May of last year, rates were coming up and buyers were starting to get scared. We were in an environment where rates have been near zero for so long. People could get mortgages for less than 3%, and we're entering into an environment where rates were shooting up, where they would eventually top out. At least I think it topped out around 7%, at least up to the recording of this video. Now we're in an environment where rates have already hit 7%. They've sat around 6% for about 6 months now, if not longer. And buyers are starting to feel more comfortable with it. I mean, at the end of the day, people want the lowest mortgage rate that they can get. They want to purchase a property and have the lowest monthly payment as possible, and they certainly want to be within what they can afford. At the same time, people only have so much time, right? There's only so much time that you have in life, and you can only wait so long for rates to come back down or for prices to come back down before you want to move on with your life, before people want to purchase a home, start progressing as a family, or maybe downsizing from their current home, whatever it may be, whatever goals you have in life. You can only wait. People are only going to wait so long, and so I think what we're seeing now is last May, obviously rates were going up. This year, rates are level, and there's a lot of talk about the Federal Reserve pausing, potentially rates starting to tick back down by the end of this year. So the expectation that buyers have in the rate environment is, one, these rates are a lot more comfortable, and then two, the prospect of potentially lower rates in the future is bringing more buyers into the market. Of course, we're at a crisscross right now in the year over year data, where last year home buyers were declining and were leaving the market as rates were rising. So eventually we are going to hit that cross, and home buyers are going to be there's going to be more home buyers on a year over year basis as rates continue to stabilize. Now, if we jump down and look at the median sales price, it was still down almost 3% year over year, but look at that little jump right in the orange number down low, or in the orange line. You can see it started to shoot up a little bit here on the week ending in May 7th. So, home buyer demand is ticking up. We're getting closer, or home median sales price is getting closer to that 2022 peak, as there's a lot less listings and home buyers are starting to come back into the market. Now, something else that I thought was very interesting, that I don't think they include this stat in all of their weekly articles that they release. If my computer would load here, right here. Average home sold for 99.4% of final list price. See, I'll scroll up so you guys can see that. 4-week rolling average of average list price. Look at what this line is doing. So you can see in 2022 what happened. We peaked out at around 102% of average list price. Basically people are buying homes for for more than what they were listed for. That declined steeply as we ended 2022 and entered 2023, declined through February, and now has just shot right back up. I think I think this has to do a lot with buyer psychology, where when rates started to rise and they were high, people got fearful and started to exit the market and played a waiting game to see what would happen. Then, as sellers, as less sellers came to the market, and prices, we didn't see a massive decline in median sales price. Buyers started to enter the market. They started to become more comfortable with interest rates. And now we're seeing competition for what little homes there are available. If we scroll up to what's going on with pending sales active listings for homes for sale. Again, we're almost hitting that crossover with 2022. Active listings are dropping. Remember, they shot up in 2022 as mortgage rates rose and home buyers froze. New listings are still down almost 20%, although we did see a sharp increase here as we're really in the heat of the spring market. So really, really interesting things going on. I think, like I said, a big portion of what's happening is these. I think home buyers are more comfortable with the rates. They talk about how the average fixed rate mortgage was 6.325 or 35% last week. Mortgages here in Vermont, NEFQ, 6.125 for their best rate that they're offering. So we're right around where things are, or right around that national average, and right around where things have been for the past few months. Just looking at my notes of other things that I wanted to talk about here. What I was going to mention is this Redfin agent out of Jacksonville, Florida, which this really, this really isn't surprising to me. And it's not necessarily the case of what's going on here in Vermont, but I think it's a good indication of what might be happening in other markets. And we've certainly seen a little bit of this here in Vermont. But let me just read the quote here. Homeowners are locked in by lower mortgages. They are not selling unless they need to move for something like a new job or another major life change. Homes that do go on the market, are selling quickly if they're low-priced starter homes, but middle-of-the-road and expensive homes are sitting. And this makes a lot of sense if you think about the general demographics and what's going on here. With higher mortgage rates, obviously the monthly payment's higher. People can afford less. They can't afford as much home as they used to. Also, we've lost that move-up buyer, as we've talked about, and as they mentioned in this video. Less people are selling because they've locked into a lower rate, so they're not going to sell their starter home and move up into that more expensive home, right? Which would make sense that those more expensive, or middle of the road homes are taking longer to sell, because a lot of the buyers for those homes are buyers who have equity in their first property that they bought. At the same time, there's a lot of people who want to buy homes right now. The average home buyer is older than they have been in the past. There's a lot of first-time home buyers looking to purchase a property, and then there's a lot of people who are looking to downsize from their larger home and move into something that's more of a starter home, or a smaller place that's easier to maintain. It might be single level. If you're retiring, you want something that's going to be a little less maintenance and that doesn't have as many stairs as your big home. At the same time, the buyers for those big homes are not there. And so if we go back to the fundamentals that we've talked about on this channel, basically, since 2010, since the great financial crisis with the recession that was housing led, I guess debatably so, but housing was certainly a big portion of the Great Recession in 2008, moving into 2010. Homes were underbuilt for this whole decade. And now as a lot of home buyers, first-time home buyers, and millennials, Gen Z start to think about purchasing property and purchasing residential real estate, we've really underbuilt for that demand, which is why we're at a gridlock, and why we're seeing the median sales price start to tick back up despite these higher mortgage rates. And I think fundamentally, there's just too many buyers for the amount of supply that we have across the country. Certainly here in Vermont, as we've talked about many times, but this is more a video about the national housing market and what's going on. Anyway, Lee Morale, Vermont Economic Realtor. All my contact information is in the description. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, reach out to me directly. I'd be happy to help, whether it's in Vermont or if you're looking somewhere else. I'd be happy to find a great agent for you. Also, leave a comment. I love knowing what you guys think. I love hearing from you folks. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video.